Okay, this video is about Seventh-day Adventists Revisited and the good news, and it's mostly from this book. This book is by Gary Frazier. He's one of the lead epidemiologists that's been studying the Seventh-day Adventists for many, many years. The book is called Diet, Life Expectancy, and Chronic Diseases. It's from about 2003. It's copyright. And bottom line is, the book is actually a little bit boring. I thought it was a little bit wimpy, but there's still something great about this. Something great came out of looking into this, and I'm going to share it with you in just a moment. This will be a fast video. It summarizes the SDA epidemiology, which was done mostly with surveys. I wasn't that impressed by it. The SDAs are a branch of Methodism, begun in 1863. It's called Seventh Day because they go to church on Saturday instead of Sundays. One of the key founders was Ellen G. White. She was very into nutrition and plant-based diet, and she wrote, you should keep grease out of your food, eat largely fruits and vegetables. Cancers and inflammatory diseases are largely caused by eating meat. Grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables constitute the diet chosen for us by our Creator. Ellen White lived from 1827 to 1915. The Seventh-day Adventists SDAs, they prohibited alcohol, tobacco, and pork. They also recommend avoiding all types of meat, coffee, tea, caffeine. But here's the thing about them. They had the best documented longevity of any population in the world. That's of any population of the world, even better than the Okinawans. They're famously associated with Loma Linda University in California near Los Angeles. Only about 3% of them are truly vegans. Here's the big thing I learned. Most of them are philosophic or religious vegans. They're not really health vegans. And that's what the good news from this talk comes from, is that even though they had, I'll show their population longevity numbers in just a moment, even though they were incredibly good, the best ever in the world, it would be easy to improve upon them. And Dr. McDougall worked with this population, and he even said himself that they're not as healthy as people think they were in terms of their habits and their diet, such that it can be improved upon. And that's wonderful news. They did incredibly well, but it'd be easy to do better. Okay. You know, they got social support through their church, their community. They walk a lot. They interact with each other. They get along with each other. So all of that is good. And that's pretty typical of these centenarian communities like Buettner's, National Geographic Blue Zones, and whatnot. So the average, in 1985, the population numbers for the average American had a expected life expectancy of a man about 71, a woman about 78 years of age. In California, it's a little bit better. You know, California was a rich state back in those days. Now it's a poverty state. But back then, I went to college there in Stanford in the 1980s, and the state was so rich you could go to junior college for free. Back then, the average Californian man lived about 74, average woman to about 79.6, close to 80 years of age. Okay, back at that time, the Japanese were one of the healthiest populations in the world in 1985, with an average man about 75, woman about 80. The Okinawans were incredibly healthy in comparison. Average man about 78 years of age. That's compared to the average American, that's about 7 years. The average female Okinawan, about 86 years of age, so about 8 years compared to the average American woman. Okay, so now let's hear what the Seventh-day Adventists. So the Seventh-day Adventists had longer lives than the Okinawans. The average male Seventh-day Adventist vegetarian lived to about 85.3, average female vegan 88.6. So those are rather incredible numbers. Average female vegetarian SDA 88.6, average male 85.3. So 85 and 88.5. And I actually remember some study where they were about a year better than that for the vegans, but I couldn't find it at this moment. Okay, so just a couple other quick points. Their total cholesterol for the SDA vegans was 165.8, so basically about 166. And that, in my opinion, is not that great of a cholesterol. So what I'm saying is, you know, and Dr. T. Colin Campbell, when he did his work with the rural Chinese, they had incredibly low cholesterols, quite often under 100. Mine's about 93. So what I'm trying to say is there is good reason to believe this could be dramatically improved upon. That their so-called vegans were philosophic and religious vegans rather than health vegans. So that's what actually made me real happy, is that they were getting probably about average man about 86, woman about 90, and that could probably be significantly improved upon. Let's just guess 3 or 4 years. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure, but I would bet that. So that's good. There isn't any true health vegan population closely followed all this years. Dr. Esselstyn's would be great if his population is followed, even though they had a lot of earlier comorbidity. Other things you'd expect, they got lower clotting factors in their blood, the Seventh-day SDA vegans, they're skinnier, better blood pressure, live longer, all that stuff. We all expect that. Dr. McDougall pointed out that SDA epidemiology was partly sponsored by a nut company, so be aware of that when you hear it, because the SDAs are used sometimes to promote nuts. Mr. Nelson's channel at VegSource has a lot of videos about it's a YouTube channel about the problems with nuts, so if you're curious about that, you can check that out. So anyways, that was why I made this video, because I thought it was so wonderful that their best aging population in the world really was not as healthy as one would seem, and it would be easy potentially to do significantly better than them in diet and lifestyle. So there's reason to believe humans could probably live an average in the ballpark of a man about 90 and a woman about 95, just a reasonable estimation. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Hope that was helpful.